Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we are going to go over the best sounding exhaust for your Toyota Tacoma. Now, if you're new to our channel, this is my 2017 TRD off-road with the V6 engine. If you include the stock exhaust, I've had a total of 5 different exhaust systems for this truck. So I feel like I have a good amount of exhaust to go over what I think is the best sounding, and the different styles that I've had have also been a part of the build for my truck depending on what I've been doing with it. So you'll see that, of course, with all these different exhausts and how the truck looks, things like that. So I want to start off though with exhausts for your vehicle. Now, of course, this is a preference on what you're looking for out of your exhaust, the sound that you want, how daily driver friendly it's going to be, and where it's also exiting your vehicle as well. I have a high clearance bumper on my truck at the moment, so that's going to be a factor with some of these exhausts not working and some of them working. So just depending on the build for your truck. And along with that, a lot of the exhausts are fairly similar as far as the tone goes. So let's start off with the very first exhaust system that I put on this Tacoma, and that was from AFE. That was around $570. It was a catback system, virtually identical to the stock exhaust system. It exited out the same exact way, and the only reason that I went with that for my choice in this aftermarket system is because that was the only exhaust system at the time that offered a black exhaust tip. And with the theme that I was going for this Tacoma, I wanted that to match. A lot of exhaust companies, from what I've seen, have chrome tips or they have some kind of other color. At the time, none of them offered a black tip. So I went with the AFE design. Now, I have had different exhausts on my previous Tacoma. I had a Borla catback system, and honestly, very, very similar in sound to the AFE. It's going to be very similar to the TRD exhaust as well that Toyota actually developed. You can buy from the Toyota dealership and have them install that. So like I mentioned earlier, some of the exhausts are going to be similar. They just, of course, different brands, your brand loyalty, what you're looking out of the exhaust. Again, only one that had the black tip, so that's why I eliminated the other two. Even though I've had Borla in the past, that's what pushed me to go with the AFE. So there's going to be some minor differences here and there, but with the AFE system, I really didn't have any complaints with it. It had a deep tone to it, and it was very daily driver friendly. With that exhaust exiting right where the stock one was, it kind of livened up the startup, at least the cold start for the truck, and it did make it a lot louder. So for the first comparison for this video, let's do a startup and a rev and a takeoff with the stock exhaust, and then we'll do it with the AFE exhaust so you can hear the difference. As you just heard, it really sounds pretty good in my opinion. Comment down below, let me know what exhaust you have put on your Tacoma. But for my first exhaust system, I kind of went a little bit subtle, I guess you could say. Just kind of went very basic with the catback system. And again, it was a perfect fitment for my truck until I ripped that exhaust tip off. So in off-roading and what my build was, that was not the correct exhaust anymore for where I was going with my truck. So I ended up taking that one off, but that's a whole, different style, of course. Great sounding exhaust. For the money, I think it was pretty good. For the list that I have today, it was the second cheapest. So the next exhaust that we're going over is the MBRP that dumped in front of my rear axle. That was about $330, so significantly cheaper than the dual exhaust for the AFE. But with this exhaust system dumping in front of the back axle, it was so loud. It was very raspy, and I'm not promoting or not promoting any of these exhausts. You get what you like. This is just my personal opinion. It was very raspy. It was a lot louder than any of the other exhaust systems that I have had because it dumped right underneath basically the back seats. I had backseat passengers that just they couldn't do it. They couldn't ride in the back because of the drone that it did have being right there, and even going on about an hour-and-a-half trip through the mountains as well. So, you know, uphill, downhill, on the gas, on the brakes, on the gas, on the brakes. It just didn't make it daily driver friendly. So I didn't have that exhaust for very long. It did sound good in the beginning, but I couldn't do it anymore. My Tacoma, to me, is my daily driver. I do have another vehicle, but this is the vehicle that if I'm going to take somewhere, especially on long distances or have people in the back, it needs to be a comfortable truck for my living needs. And the MBRP, while it's a cheap exhaust, if you want something loud, you're not looking to spend a lot of money, that's a great option. Just know that for the price, you're not getting the full potential, of course, of other exhaust systems, which again, come with a price tag. So I'll let you listen to the startup and the takeoff for that MBRP. From the camera clips, it might be a little bit hard to tell a difference, but from personal experience, all of these videos too, all of these exhaust videos have installation videos and reviews. So if you look on our Tacoma playlist, you can get a more in-depth view of me actually installing it and going through that exhaust at the time. Since I can't put all 5 on the truck right now, definitely check out those videos so that way you can see. But on to the next exhaust. This was an all-new high clearance style from MagnaFlow. This exhaust was about $1,000, and I really liked the high-tuck clearance that this exhaust had to offer. After I ripped off my other previous exhaust tip, this one made a lot more sense, especially with my high clearance rear bumper. So if you're going for a high clearance rear bumper, or you just don't want to see the exhaust, some people just don't like the design, you can get a dual exit for the Tacoma, one on driver, one on passenger. You can get dual tips on one side or the other, or you can just go with a high clearance and just have no exhaust. If that's the look that you're going for, it doesn't have to just be a high clearance rear bumper in order to install an exhaust like this. But this was my first real take at a high clearance style where it completely disappeared. This one dumped right at the spare tire. So I went past the rear axle, I was back to the exhaust exiting back there, and I really didn't have any complaints. This exhaust also had a few different modifications to it where you could change the sound just depending on the piping that you decided to put on. So it was a really cool configurable kit, and I'll put one of the loudest exhaust note that you could configure it to. I'll play that clip so that way you can hear what it sounds like. Just kind of like a normal catback system, wasn't crazy loud. If you put on the full muffler, I would say it did get a little bit quieter on the highway. It wasn't too noticeable in my opinion. That's why I kept it in the loudest setting possible, because it just didn't have a crazy drone or anything like that by any means. So that was a very good kit. Stainless steel, all of the hardware, of course. Installation was very easy, and so I like that kit. It was awesome to have. But now that leads me on to the exhaust that I currently have on my Tacoma right now from AWE. This was their first true dual exhaust system. So the previous exhausts that I've installed on my Tacoma have just been a normal catback system. This AWE is a true dual exhaust system, and I can definitely hear a difference with this system. And like the MagnaFlow, there's actually a few different configurations for this system, and the current setup that I have on right now is for the high clearance. So it actually dumps a little bit closer to the cab than the MagnaFlow did. It's still behind the rear axle, which is of course nice. But with this system, you can actually put on the exhaust tips if you want to. So I have the rear high clearance rear bumper. I decided to take the whole tailpipe section and tailpipes off. But if I feel like it, I can actually put that section back on, take 2 clamps off, put the new section back on. If you want to see all these details, again, check out that video down below. But this is a very configurable system between having it high clearance or having the exhaust tips for show. So it's pretty cool to see that. This kit is right around $1,300, so a little bit more than the MagnaFlow, but it offers a little bit more at the same time. And let's go ahead and listen to this one. And as you heard, probably sounds a little bit the same on camera, but driving the truck right now, it has a very, very deep tone to it. So for that V6, I honestly think that this is probably the best sounding exhaust system that I have for the Tacoma. The AFE and the MagnaFlow both had good tones to them, but I can just tell with that true dual exhaust system, it's a little bit deeper, and to me that's a good thing. I like the deepness and the tone that this exhaust has to offer, and even with it dumping slightly in front of the MagnaFlow, it still sounds really good. So for the price, I think you're still getting a great kit. And as you saw earlier in this video, with me damaging that exhaust tip on a previous exhaust, now I don't have to do that. Or if I did want to go off-road and I didn't have a high clearance rear bumper, I could take that section off, go have fun on the trails, come back, put it on, and have those tips ready to go for show. So of all the exhausts that I've put on, I'd say this and the MagnaFlow are the most configurable. One is more towards the different sounds, and the exhaust on the truck right now from AWE is more towards on-road and off-road and being able to switch them out. So in conclusion, with all the exhausts that I've had on my Tacoma, I think that this one is the best. It is the most expensive of the exhaust systems that I've had, but an exhaust system to me is something that is important. It's something that you should highly consider with the driving that you're doing. Is it your daily? Is it your off-roader? Is it your weekend daily that you just take off-road on occasion? What do you do with your truck, and how do you want it to sound? To me, I don't want something that sounds like raspy and it's just something that I can't live with every day. I want something like this, where it just, to me, it has a good tone to it, and then when you're up at your cruising speed, it's very quiet. There's nothing there until you accelerate again, and you really want to hear that exhaust open up. So you can go so many different ways, so many different options. Like I mentioned earlier, also a lot of these exhaust brands are going to sound similar. It just depends on the brand that you're looking for and how you want your truck to be set up. So if you own a Toyota Tacoma, comment down below and let me know your thoughts with the exhaust that you have on your truck. Do you like the stock one? Are you okay and comfortable with how quiet that is? Is that your preference? Let me know. If you haven't had just the stock exhaust, also let me know. And let's talk about the best sounding exhaust for the Tacoma. I think it is from the AWE kit. I will have a link down below as well for some of these kits that you can check out as well. You can also check out the install videos if you need some help installing them. They're all going to be fairly similar, not too hard of an install for the Tacoma. But that is going to wrap it up for the best sounding exhaust for your Toyota Tacoma. Definitely smash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. Give the video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next video.